the United States has moved its biggest, most advanced aircraft carrier battle group into the Caribbean. It's also been blowing up boats coming out of Venezuela. It looks like we're going into a war stance. It's time to understand what's really going on. The media only shows these individual incidents, a boat being blown up by the military, the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford going into the Caribbean, but there's really no perspective of what is going on, and that's what we're going to try to do here on NORC Discussions. And I have with me an expert on Latin American affairs, Jose Aliaga. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you, Matt. Always a privilege to be here in your show, and thank you for inviting me.
You know, one thing I've noticed, Jose, you are continuously being interviewed by Spanish-speaking news agencies from around the world. And you've been doing a lot of traveling. You've been receiving a lot of honors and accolades. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Matt.
But I think it's very important for people to understand what is going on with Venezuela, with China, and with the fentanyl, and with Cuba, all these things that are going on. There's a whole orchestrated event going on that we all should be aware of. And it seems that the media is totally missing the boat on really what is going on. So maybe you can tell us what's going on with communism and the effects among the Latin American countries.
Sure, Matt. In the last 20, 25 years around the time, the communists and the socialist groups like Chavez started this in Venezuela, creating several agreements they call El Pacto de Sao Paulo and El Pacto de Puebla. What that means is an agreement between all the left organizations, but not just for a few countries, basically around the world. And it was Bolivia, Venezuela, Cuba, all of them, and to keep power in Latin America, not just power, but influence against United States. They has been supporting with illegal funding to keep presidential candidates to have enough funding to win elections. And obviously, in some elections were very controversial when nobody believed that actually some of those candidates won elections. But the funding was coming from Venezuela, and some of this funding come from drug dealers from Mexico, Brazil, illegal money they help out. Now, your question is, what's going on since Trump got elected? Trump got elected, he closed the borders, and what he does is doesn't allow these cartels to bring the drugs in, and Venezuela has been controlling the shipping of this cocaine, fentanyl, and everything. You probably wonder how Venezuela, who is a little bit far away from the United States. Well, cocaine and all these drugs come from Colombia. When they want to pass the cocaine around the Caribbean, the Venezuela Army and Navy collect taxes, a percentage from allow them to pass to the United States. And that's called El Cartel de los Soles. El Cartel de los Soles is Nicolás Maduro, the current dictator of Venezuela, and Capo Generals, which is Diosdado Cabello and Padrino Lopez. Those three individuals has been controlling this cartel in the Caribbean. And Donald Trump is stopping finally, after 20-something years, all these mafia groups that support the leftists.
So basically, it's to support communism growing in Latin America.
Yes. Some of them don't call it communist. They started calling it, some of them call it socialism. Right. And the platform to present to people is telling, hey, you're going to get everything for free. And sounds good. And usually the speeches, oh, rich people don't care about you. And people, oh, really? Yeah, they don't care about you. They're your enemies. And we have, because I see on TV, I have friends in the media, in the right wing, because I get those interviews a lot. They cut Nicolás Maduro, they cut the new president Claudia from Mexico, and the former president from Mexico, Andrés López Obrador, former president of Mexico, saying they are not concerned about destroying the middle class, because they saying when middle class is there, it's a bad thing for them. And people says, why? Because when you have a strong middle class, they become right-wingers and they start voting for right-wing candidates. they says they want to keep people poor. They want middle class to go lower and be poor because they believe by giving them little something, they got more votes and grow their votes. The base of votes of the left in the world is keeping people poor. That's why Venezuela, if you remember, 30 years ago, was top 10 best economies in the world. Now, Venezuela has natural resources and so is one of the richest countries in the world. Now is poorer than maybe Haiti or some of those countries in Africa because poor management and communists, like you says.
There is a relationship with what China is up to. China has an ancient philosophy of being the center of the universe. Mm-hmm. And China is on the march here, and they want to have influence in Latin America. And when I was studying to get my degree in history, I studied the Opium Wars in China. Very interesting. Happened a long time ago. Most Americans know nothing about it or care about it. But to the Chinese, it's like it just happened. And this is a time period when Great Britain was doing all this trade with China, and they were buying silk, and they were buying tea and all these things, and they were using silver, and they were depleting their silver reserves. And finally, the exchequer, who's the treasurer of Great Britain, came up with an idea that rather than depleting our treasury of silver, we're going to grow opium in some of our colonies, bring it into China, develop a demand for that, which they did, a great demand, which of course was addiction. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they were using opium to this trade. And China went to war with Britain twice to stop this. And they are very much aware of this. So now, if you look at what's going on with fentanyl, that the components of fentanyl is now going to these cartels and being assembled in Mexico, other places, maybe Venezuela. And they're bringing that into the United States, creating this big demand. And you've got 100,000 Americans dying a year from it. And this is what you're talking about, generating this income, which is now funding these leftist socialist agendas in Latin America, and you're seeing this.
Yes, of course. And then, but keep in mind, during the Biden administration, with the open borders policies, we basically not just allow fentanyl, cocaine, and all illegal drugs, also illegal weapons, all this illegal immigration, because our borders were open. It was open for 4 years.
Right, and so they were making a lot of money because it was easy to bring it in.
Yeah, finally Trump got in, and now it stopped the borders. The borders, we have now the National Guard, we have several more protection, Border Patrol, and he negotiated with Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, to tell, hey, listen, you also have to secure the borders. If no, we're going to be stronger with you in some tariff. And that's the reason why Mexico is starting collaborating with us, is because now we have a strong leadership.
Getting back to China's influence, though, and we have a chart we're going to show, but it shows the influence of what China is doing in Latin America. Now, when I was in Peru with you, and we were doing a speaking tour, and at that time, the people of Peru wanted you to run for president. Unfortunately, you did not, because you had other things in mind. But the communists won that election.
Yes,
communists won, and as a result, the relationship with China, they have huge investments into Peru with ports and the mining of the precious metals there in Peru, lithium and all that stuff. And that's how it seems to be working in many countries in Latin America with China, with the influence that they have got now. And you've seen this. So what's going on in Peru and these countries?
So we don't have a strong leadership. We have very mediocre leadership. China can influence. They know how to negotiate contracts. Nobody knows in the current administration what the former president of Peru signed in that port. But recently, China developed a mega port in Peru, one of the biggest, nicest port in the Pacific, which allowed them now to do better trades and all that. But it's under the control of China. So Peru don't have much influence in that port. Yeah, maybe help Peru, to chip here and there, but China have full control of that. And I don't know, well, Biden administration again allowed them to do that. And the reason I saying that is because United States, in my opinion, should be able to collaborate more with those countries and be able to negotiate better deals for us. We let, during Biden administration, the last 4 years, to take over the South America side. They did negotiation with the leftists in Chile. Chile is the President Boric is left, and he has been doing a lot of deals with China. Peru, like you state, we have a communist president. Actually, he's in jail because he tried to talk over the whole country. Yeah, but unfortunately, we still have this poor that benefit more China than Peru, in my opinion, because they dominating the South control of the Pacific side. And there's no, I think this is dangerous for us. China's tried to take over the world.
They tried to take the Panama Canal, basically.
They tried, and Trump got there. Yep. If Kamala Harris got elected, we will lose the canal forever. I'm glad that Donald Trump got there because he was able to negotiate better and benefit to America. Sometimes people don't see it that way, but he's not getting any benefit for Donald Trump. He's benefit our country, United States.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
But you're seeing this in other countries, Bolivia and all that. What you were telling me earlier.
So what happened, Matt, is during the regime of those Pacto de Sao Paulo, the Pacto de Puebla, is allowed them to help each other. Maduro used to be send money. I mean, it's
Maduro,
many,
the
dictator from Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro. And it's more than rumors. It's, people talking about this. He will give cash money under the table to some candidates to help them to finance their political campaign so they get reelected. Surprisingly, since Donald Trump got there and doesn't allow fentanyl, cocaine to get to United States, as you know, he's very strong. Now, Maduro is very afraid that the United States is going to go after him because he's a dictator. Everybody knows it. So now, suddenly, Bolivia, who has been more than 25 years communist, because every time the communist people run, they got elected, all that, the socialists and all that, they lost the election. Surprisingly, a country that everybody think is 70% socialist and 30% right-wing, out of many candidates, that 2 right-wing candidates get to the runoff, and Bolivia elect a right candidate president after many years. There's no coincidence. I believe it's because Donald Trump, when he got elected, cut the money, illegal money, for these people to give all these socialist candidates. Now, Bolivia finally have a president that believes in free markets, less regulation, and that's going to help a lot to Bolivia economy, because Bolivia economy is totally destroyed. People is, besides losing the jobs, high inflation, it's terrible. A country like Bolivia has natural gas, lithium, and many resources should be in better condition than currently what it is right now. They have a lot of hope for that. Ecuador, I think Ecuador is doing okay. Now they're losing a lot of influence also from the communist groups. So Lula da Silva in Brazil is very concerned. He's tried to put every right-wing candidate in jail, which is Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro was the former president. A lot of people believe that he stole his election. The same thing usually what they do in South America. And then, but again, Lula da Silva, all these people is not getting this money from the cartels or from Nicolás Maduro, which is a good thing.
What would you say is the overall general strategy that's being employed by either China or these cartels? What do you think that the end objective is that they're trying to do?
Well, China want to they want to take over the world. They want to, by having South America, they have the control of one of the biggest reserves of lithium, which is Bolivia, Peru, and Chile. And because they already have the port, and they already making deals with some corrupt governments, they will be able to control the supply, the shipping, and everything. And which, as you know, we make a lot of electric cars, cell phones, and many other products that need lithium. So they want to control the 70% of lithium in the world, the shipping, the logistics, and everything, which surprisingly, Joe Biden allowed them to do. Biden even cared, they even talk about it. And so Donald Trump got there with Marco Rubio. The first thing Marco Rubio, or Secretary of State, did, State Secretary, he went each country and told them what the rules are. explaining how we're going to work with. They care about it. That was very important in foreign policy, what Marco Rubio done so far.
Well, I will say, so China is trying to greatly influence these Latin American countries with huge investments, and they're trying to, but there is a counterbalance, and something I'd like to bring up, and that would be Argentina. And you have Javier Milei, who is the new president of Argentina. This guy is great. He's like the Donald Trump of Argentina. He has gone in there. He's cutting spending. They had inflation through the roof.
Yep.
The economy was tanking. Milei went in there. He's cut spending. He's cut back the government, and now, just before the election, the Trump administration went in there with a currency swap, about $40 billion, where we swapped U.S. dollars with the Argentine peso, and that bolstered their economy. And Milei got reelected, and now that our investment with that $40 billion is gone way up because it bolstered their currency. But this is a good example of capitalism, how if done properly, and this is what Trump is trying to do here, it will help counterbalance that communist influence.
Javier Milei, he's an economist. He has La Escuela Austriaca, the Austrian school. He went to school with one of the best economists in the world, Victor Espinosa from Chile. I know Victor, he's a good friend of mine. And I know Milei, and I know his Secretary of Economy, Mr. Caputo, and Patricia Bullrich, good friend of mine. When I talk to them about this is usually Dutch. When you see Elon Musk doing that was Javier Milei idea. Doge was implementing Argentina first, just so you know, because I talked to them.
Oh, you're saying Doge?
Yeah, Doge.
That was the plan that Musk was cutting
taxes.
And this is what Milei is doing.
Milei started with the idea, and he told Trump administration about that, and Elon Musk enforced that. But that was Milei idea. That's why it started Milei.
Right.
Because
and
I talked to them.
Very successful.
Very successful. And I talked to Victor Espinosa. That was in September, actually. No, August. We both went to invited to do a conference in the Universidad Tecnológica de Lima Sur in Peru. And he actually, a few months ago, we was for Javier Milei talking about. The reason I talking about this is because I'm glad to see finally also right candidates are supporting each other, but good advice, good advisors, because we talked about this before. The leftists has been having those agreements, doing illegal things. We don't do illegal things. We do the right thing, and we support each other with good advice. And when Javier Milei came to and talked to the Trump administration, I told them about what Doge became. Doge. That became a great thing for America, cutting regulation, tax expenditure. We used to have every embassy giving free money, USA money, giving to things that we don't need it. Taxpayer money that should be spent in our country, helping veterans, helping real issues, we're giving away for this stupid thing, really. Right. And then I'm glad that we implement those. But you're right, Javier Milei has been implementing. He took a country that was broke, hyperinflation, no jobs, hungry and poor poverty. Now that economy is turning around, implementing good policies.
Right.
And that's what capitalism does.
And that's something similar that would happen decades before with Chile under Pinochet. And he did a similar type of thing, and it was very successful in Chile's economy. It brought them into like a first world country as a result.
And that's right. Right now, the election in Chile should be this week coming up. We have two right-wing candidates, Johannes Kaiser, which is the same philosophy of Milei. And I think Johannes Kaiser is going to do well. Then we have another right-wing candidate, Kass, who also has the same philosophies, but most people believe that Johannes Kaiser is the candidate that represents kind of Trump and Milei in Chile. Mm-hmm. But the leftists, at this point, what I see, the leftists is not going to win. And good thing that Donald Trump is there, because by having Trump presence in the hemisphere, what he does is don't allow illegal money, cartels to get involved. The election should be fair. People will choose by democracy what it is, who is the next president of Chile and the other countries.
Well, it seems like what Donald Trump is doing is bringing back the Monroe Doctrine, mm-hmm. which basically, that was from 1823, which basically said, you don't come into our hemisphere mm-hmm. with your stuff. And that's what China has been trying to do and mm-hmm. get influence here with the communism and all that. So it would definitely appear, Jose, that that the party is over, that shipping drugs into the United States and through the cartels, generating money to help bolster socialist ideology is failing now thanks to Donald Trump.
And it is, and we want to continue that way. You know, I hope for the best. I know Democrats are fighting. I don't know why they're fighting. I think it's a great thing that we stop the drugs, we secure our borders. I don't understand why the Democrats want to open borders. It doesn't make sense to me. Besides the Biden administration, the only country have open borders is Somalia. And it's not even a country. They allow everybody to walk in, you know. And countries that want to do something similar like what Biden did, which it was right now, I think, Spain. France, they're not doing no well right now. They really poor, and people want to change. And I think it's going to flip a lot those left, I mean, the countries that are having left leadership right now, it's going to flip very soon because nobody likes all this illegal immigration. They don't like open borders, illegal drugs coming in. People want to have secure borders. People want good economy, and that's what we're doing.
Well, Jose, you're doing a great job of informing the world, because I know you are continuously being interviewed. When I was at the inauguration of Trump with you, you were continuously being sought after by the foreign media for interviews and all that. And so thank you for taking the time of coming and speaking on NORC discussions. We really appreciate it.
Matt, before we end, I want to let you know that right-wing Ecuadorian presidential candidate, Luis Telleria, told me that he would like to meet with you.
Well, that would be my honor.
Yes, he's a former city council in London, City of London, England, and he ran for president before, and he's gonna run again. And he says, "Hey, I would like to talk to Matt Marcos." I said, "I can make that happen for you."
So well, that would be an honor. Tell him I would love to. And to hear more good interviews like that, subscribe to the NORC channel and hit that bell button, and you'll be notified. Thank you, Jose.
Sure. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.